Didn't forget to turn it on this time, just forgot to get the thing. Good evening. I would like to call this meeting of the City Council to order at 7:03 p.m. I am David Friedendahl. I am the mayor of the city of Glendora and will serve as the presiding officer of this evening's City Council meeting. In consideration of others and the business being conducted tonight, please silence your phones and any electronic devices and refrain from speaking unless recognized. Again, this is a public meeting for the community of Glendora, and we appreciate and respect your participation in this meeting this evening. For the record, I will report that all council members are present and ready and willing to conduct our business. This evening, I would like to invite Pastor Bruce Butler of the Glendora Friends Church to lead us in our invocation, followed by Chantel Correa from our Community Development Department to lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance. And if you would, please stand.
All right, let's pray together. Lord, we are privileged to live in this city. Thank you, Lord, for the unity, the forward thinking, the sense of tradition. All of that goes together, Lord, as we figure out how to move forward on sometimes some tricky issues. But Lord, we do so with in perfect trust that you're going to help us along the way. Thank you, Lord, for this council who sits here, give of themselves thoughtfully and diligently. We thank you, Lord, for those who serve public safety in our city, those who serve the maintenance needs of our city, and those who bless in neighborhoods, who reach out and offer a hand of love one to another. Lord, all of this, we thank you that you give us opportunity to be here tonight. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
If we can all face the flag and put our right hand over our heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Butler and Chantel. At this point, we'd like to see if anyone has any reordering or additions to the agenda. Seeing none, we'll move on. Our first item will be public comment period. I'd like to open public comment. Invite members of the public to address this legislative body. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes, speaking once on both on or off agenda items. If you are in attendance, please fill out a speaker card and submit to the recording admin before the close of public comment period. Once recognized, speakers should advance to the podium, state your name and the subject matter you wish to discuss, and share your comments. At this point, I have just a handful of cards. I would like to invite Mr. Joe Cena from the Chamber of Commerce.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Joe Cena, President and CEO of the Glendora Chamber of Commerce, and I thank you for allowing me to speak this evening. There's a lot of stuff going on at the Chamber. First, which is for you tonight regarding the Business Improvement District. The bid membership, we retooled it about a year ago this time, and bid membership chose 2 new bid board advisory members. Because Matt Klinger of Village Fitness and Delel Snyder of Glendora Florist is terming out. And the new ones, Callan Banos of Ramon's Tacos and Tapas, and Crystal Menke of Cindy Jane Boutique, were chosen by the membership. Also coming up here, the Chamber will have at the end of June, on the 25th, our installation and awards dinner at the Glendora Country Club at 6 p.m. on June 25th. There will be a riveting State of the Chamber presentation, and then after that, we'll actually have some fun and pass out some awards. As for our new member of the year, we have Casey's Old Town Barbershop right here in the village. Nonprofit of the year is Glendora After Strokes. Sustainable Business of the Year is the BR Company. Ambassador of the Year is Myrna Garib from Kaleo. And Business of the Year, the Yoga Dance Co. So as I said, June 25th, please join us for that. Tickets are on sale. We will be thanking our outgoing board chair, Nicole Pierce from America's Christian Credit Union, and installing our new board, including our incoming board chair, DJ Jafari, owner of Glendora Tire and Brake Auto Center. I think this is about DJ's 15th time being chair, but no, not quite 15, but quite a few. So there's a lot of other stuff going on. We have mixers and ribbon cuttings, as I'm sure someone here will talk about the Foothill Gold Line this next week on the 5th at 1. Then looking past through the summer, August 16th, that little car show we have in the village will happen from 6 to 11 p.m. So with that, there's a lot of stuff coming up. It doesn't really die down in the summer except around 4th of July for us, because I won't be here. I'll be in Washington, D.C. So for this little band thing that we're doing. So with that, we're up the street doing the best we possibly can for the great city of Glendora. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Next, I would like to invite Olivia Lesh. Did I say that right? Yes. Thank you. Welcome, Olivia.
Hi. Hi, I'm Olivia. I'm a parent at La Fecha Elementary School, and I'm here to talk about the problem of e-bikes and e-scooters riding on the sidewalks in front of the schools. I've spoken with the principals, the crossing guards, parents, and Glendora PD about this issue over the past year, and while we all agree that it's a safety issue, the reckless driving by middle schoolers is something no one seems to be able to curb entirely. I would like the city to explore solutions that increase the safety of both the pedestrians on the sidewalk and the e-bike riders who should feel safe to use the bike lanes. The practice of e-bikes using the sidewalks has created an increasingly hostile environment for pedestrians and students. Currently, California law prohibits the use of e-scooters on sidewalks where a designated Class 2 bike lane exists, which is the case on Bennett Ave. Unfortunately, this law does not pertain to e-bikes, which pose similar dangers to pedestrians. A typical e-bike weighs between 40 and 80 pounds without a rider and can reach speeds of 20 miles per hour without needing to pedal. This is effectively a moped being operated by somebody who does not have a driver's license, driving on both the sidewalk and recklessly amongst car traffic. This is an issue being confronted by many cities around the country because of the dramatic increase of accidents involving juveniles on e-bikes. Furthermore, this development comes after the lengthy construction of those Class 2 bike lanes in both directions on Bennett Ave. It seems to be the view of the police and some of the parents that having children ride in those newly built designated bike lanes is still too dangerous during drop-off and pickup times, and that riding on the sidewalk is a safer option. But I must urge you to consider this. Safer for whom? Pedestrians and children waiting to be picked up are effectively sitting ducks. It may be California law that bikes can ride on the sidewalk, but many municipalities have enacted their own rules to outlaw the practice. There is an aspect of anticipation here that we need to address. Car drivers look for and anticipate pedestrians using sidewalks. They are not anticipating someone coming down the sidewalk at 20 miles an hour. If everyone uses their designated lanes, you know what to expect, and it is inherently safer. If cars still pose a distinct danger to bike riders on Bennett Ave, perhaps a protected bike lane is needed. What was once a thrilling prospect of a street where bicyclists and pedestrians could thrive has not materialized. Please start by making the sidewalks in front of schools no-ride zones during busy drop-off and pickup hours, pursuant to Code 101740. This is an easy step prior to more comprehensive legislation. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Next, I'd like to invite Ellen Straw. Ellen, welcome.
Good evening. My name's Ellen Straw. I'm here as a member of the Mount San Antonio College Faculty Association. Mount SAC is one of the premier colleges of the California Community College system, thanks in part to this community's commitment to higher education through the 3 bonds passed in the last 20-plus years. But I have to share some troubling practices that have a potential impact on the residents of Glendora and other communities who entrust Mount SAC with the post-secondary education of their children. According to California Ed Code 84362, 50% of the educational budget for a school district, including colleges, must be spent in the classroom on education. But according to a recent state audit of this law, released on April 8 this year, we believe that Mount SAC has employed creative accounting measures that violate the spirit of that law. They're using general tax funds, lottery funds, and other restricted funding measures in ways that were not intended, and disguising how they really spend money from public oversight. The audit finds that Mount SAC spends its money on top-heavy management structure that provides little to no direct interaction with students. The findings also show that over the 10 years sampled, 2012 to 13 through 2022 to 23, student enrollment at Mount SAC grew by 11%, but the amount spent on managers at Mount SAC grew by 193%. While numbers and compensation of managers grew significantly, faculty numbers were reduced by roughly 1/3. This means larger classes and less individual attention for each student. Mount SAC is not using your public dollars appropriately. They give managers obscene raises, sometimes up to 30%. They over-budget their estimates and underspend where it will impact student outcomes. They use money earmarked for student instruction on utility bills and bank fees instead of on student books, computers, and full-time faculty replacements. They consistently tell non-management employees that the district faces strict financial constraints when it comes to negotiations and classroom supply budgets, while at the same time increasing the reserve account to $74 million taxpayer dollars. The auditor makes several recommendations, including writing restrictions into the new legislation, because colleges like Mount SAC have shown that without strict regulation, they will not use public funds as intended. Mount SAC faculty care about the students. We partner with you as parents to see and mentor your children through their educational goals and help them into adulthood. We're asking for your help. Please tell Mount SAC that this is not the college image that you want representing Glendora and that you want them to prioritize spending public money in the classroom. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellen. Are there any other speakers wishing to speak? Madam Clerk, have we received any correspondence?
We have not, Mayor.
Okay. At that point, then, we will close public comment and bring it back to the members for statements. I would like to start the statement addressing the comments about the scooters and bicycles. I know our police department has spent a great amount of time this school year on education processes and trying to help the riders be better neighbors and better riders, and working with the schools as well. Perhaps some interaction this evening might work to help you understand what's been done or to see if there's some opportunities to go further without making that an additional agenda item, okay? So thank you for that. Bringing back to the panel for comments, I'm going to start with Mr. Thompson because I think he has some bubbling news that he'd like to share.
Mayor, thank you. And I have two very exciting pieces of news that I want to share. Joe had alluded to it, that on Thursday, June 5th, there's going to be a time where we dedicate the station just south of here for the, well, it's got a couple names. The official name is the A line, but most of us have heard it called the Gold Line. The Gold Line Board, who builds the train, doesn't have the authority to name what the line is, so it's called the A line. So on June 5th, Thursday at 1 o'clock, anybody can come and hear the speeches and engage in all of the hoopla that goes with cutting a ribbon. I've been to a lot of ribbon cuttings with Joe, but we've never had a train, I don't think, in my 11 years here that we've cut. So if you want to come and check it out and meet some of the players that have built this train and are going to run this train, Thursday at 1 o'clock is the place to be. Now you're probably saying, well, does that mean it's going to start? The answer on that is no. There is not a set date yet. Adam can correct me if I step into it, but we are hearing that August-ish is probably when it's going to start. Did I say that fairly vaguely without saying too much?
Like a true politician, yep.
Like a true politician. So Metro is who runs the train and manages the train. The Goal Line Board, which I'm on, simply builds that train. And so, as most of you have seen, there's been trains going through day and night. They're testing all of the switches and brakes and the speed and training folks to drive that train. No, it's not going to start on June 6th, but August-ish will be when everything will start. So that is one thing. I have never worn a sweatshirt like this here, so indulge me that I'm kind of the sloppy one of the group tonight.
We thought you were just cold.
Well, it does get cold up here, even though there is a lot of hot air that flows through. I thought I would say that before one of you kind of blurts it out, because it's true. But I am very pleased to announce that the GHS varsity baseball team just won the right to go to the finals for D3 of CIF. That has not been done for 15 years. Now you say, well, why am I so excited? Well, I have a grandson that's on the team. And as a grandpa, I hope you'll indulge me the chance to brag on the 22 young men and the amazing staff that have coached them, have mentored them, have encouraged them, admonished them, have done everything that they could to get them to this place. If you ask most of those young men, they will say, we wanted to at least get there. And the last 3 games, we had to win 2 to get in. So not only did we win 2, but then we went to the first round, we won. Second round, we won. The third round, we won. And Saturday is probably when we're going to play. And let me tell you who we're going to play, because we need to show up. It's the neighbors to our east, San Dimas. Now, none of us would want that team to win, right? And beat our young men. So as much as we like them, the mayor and I are friends, and I know that you are too. He's a nice man, but he does not need to brag that his high school boys won. There's just some things that you should not be able to brag about, and we want to keep him from doing that. So tomorrow is when the announcement's going to be made as to when and where, and so I wish I could tell you that, but I don't know that yet. So go to Tartan Baseball website, the district website, whatever, and you will see that. And I hope that anybody that wants to see exciting baseball and wants to support their local young men will come out. The caveat to all of this is Wednesday, the seniors are going to walk and graduate, which means that on Saturday they will have graduated, but they still have a baseball game left. And as you might know, that's kind of an odd thing, but all 12 of those young men are definitely going to show up. The other 10 will show up, and I've known most of these young men for many, many years, and it's exciting to see what they've earned and they've worked hard for. So I've taken more time than I should, but it's really nice to brag about the effort that these men have made. So that's why I'm wearing this, and I have my hat, and I'll not put the hat on because my mom would scold me if I wore a hat inside a building. So anyway, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Grandpa, and congratulations, Tartan Baseball.
Yeah.
All right, Shauna.
Well, this kind of puts me in a pickle. I'm a former Sandy Miss Saint, so, I'm torn. My heart is with Glendora, so it's okay. I will be rooting for the Tartans. Yesterday, I had the wonderful opportunity to attend the Memorial Day 5K. It was the first time I had ever attended, and it was really fun. I had a great time. So I just wanted to extend my thanks to Mike Bell and Kent Sommers for putting on that event, and especially this year for dedicating the race to our fallen police officer, Louis Pompey. That was really special. And then we have a lot of graduations happening this week in Glendora, one every day. So just wanted to take a moment to congratulate all of our graduating seniors from Whitcomb High School, Glendora High School, Charter Oak High School, and St. Lucy's High School. And I think we'll all be celebrating with them all week long. So I'm looking forward to that. That's it for me.
Thank you. Karen.
Thank you, sir. Yes, it was fitting to have that dedicated to Louis. With him being a fitness buff, he would have been cheering everyone on, even the city manager, who had a tremendous time yesterday. Well done, sir. Yes, with his very nice split. So congratulations on your finish. It's too bad. I know you have a lot of competitive people in your age group, but still, you did well. Yeah, you just have to try. There are a lot of things, as my colleagues mentioned, coming up this week. This Saturday from 4 to 7 at Finkbeiner Park, Glendora is kicking off the San Gabriel Valley Pride Tour with the annual Glendora Pride event from 4 to 7 at Finkbeiner Park. And then I'm sure the chief or the captain will probably speak of this later. But just a reminder, every year we gather on June 9th to remember and honor Louis. This year, because of the golf tournament being on Monday, the gathering at Villa Verde Park will be on Sunday, June 8th at 5 p.m. So for folks that usually join us there, just to make sure you make that note. And then on Monday, of course, is the golf tournament. So thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Michael.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to offer my condolences to the Hamlow family. Cliff Hamlow's wife passed away 2 weeks ago. We had services for her this afternoon. She was a longtime educator at APU, as well as a longtime resident of Glendora. Deeply missed, a wonderful woman, great educator. I also like to congratulate our own mayor, David Friedendahl, for a well-done ceremony for Memorial Day on Monday, yesterday. It was very well done, very well organized, of course, for David. Everything had to be spot on, and it was. Everything went off like it should. It was very, very well done. I'd also like to congratulate the graduating class of Whitcomb of 2025. We just came back from their graduation, just around 6:30 or so. It was really heartwarming to hear the 4 students give their report of what they went through in life and what they were able to accomplish at Whitcomb. That's truly a heaven for the students. They really have done an amazing job and really improved their life. Again, it was really heartwarming and amazing to see what these young people have done to turn their life around and to be good, productive citizens going forward. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Michael. I would like to also remind us of a couple of weeks ago, we had a wonderful Culture Fest. It was an amazing day put on by our Community Services Department, and the entire team of staff that supported that. A great event. I look forward to next year's. That's how much fun it was. The food was amazing. The entertainment was over the top. Weather was perfect, so it was a great day. Keep your calendars open, and let's hopefully for next year's third annual, we can get even more of us to come out. And I hope you all had a great Memorial Day. The city was packed with great events, as we've heard, and I think Glendora came out and supported them and recognized the event properly. I also wish to congratulate the graduates of the 4 high schools that we support in Glendora. I think we all should have earned our diplomas by Saturday morning coming up. With the graduations, we'll get to attend, so it's good. But as these students go on to their next chapters of life's journey, we wish them well, and I know they'll do well. So with that, I'll bring it back to Adam and Danny. If you have any comments, please.
Just a couple updates. We'll be having a special meeting on June 3rd for our next 2-year spending plan. During that day, we'll likely have one special item. Earlier today, the COG reached out and asked either for an elected or non-elected potential appointee. They are creating an ad hoc committee for the 2028 Olympics that will expire December 31st, and they asked for the city's appointee. So we will not have an appointee at a regularly scheduled meeting before the June 10th meeting, so we'll have a quick verbal update along this body on a possible appointee for that ad hoc committee. They'll talk about economic development and transportation quite a bit. So again, for those of you interested in our next 2-year spending plan, we'll have a workshop June 3rd at 10 a.m. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. Danny, any share?
No updates from me. Thanks, Mayor.
Okay, thank you, sir. Next item comes into special items. A proud proclamation recognizing a very sad event, but we're pleased to do so, and it's a great honor. So if I could have the Chief of Police, Mike Randazzo, please come up to the podium. We wish to make a proclamation declaring June 9th, 2025 as Louis Pompey Day. And I will read the proclamation. Whereas Agent Louis A. Pompey served the City of Glendora Police Department with honor, integrity, and unwavering dedication, faithfully protecting the citizens of Glendora from October 12, 1987 through June 9, 1995. And whereas on June 9, 1995, Agent Louis A. Pompey made the ultimate sacrifice in the line of duty, laying down his own life while selflessly defending the community he swore to serve. And whereas Agent Pompey's courage, commitment, and compassion exemplify the highest ideals of public service and represent the very best of our city's law enforcement community. And whereas his legacy of bravery and devotion to duty continues to inspire his fellow officers, city officials, and all residents of the city of Glendora. And whereas it is fitting and proper that we set aside one day each year to honor Agent Pompey's memory and to assure his sacrifice will never be forgotten. Now therefore we, the City Council of the City of Glendora, do here proclaim June 9th of each year as Louis Pompey Day in the City of Glendora. Let it be a day of remembrance, reflection, and gratitude as we honor Agent Louis A. Pompey's life, his heroism, and the lasting impact he made on our community. In witness whereof, I have set my hand and seal to the proclamation in the city of Glendora to be affixed this 27th day, 2025. With that, I'd like to present the proclamation to the chief and ask for fitting comments.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It is my absolute honor to accept this proclamation on behalf of the community. The Glendora Police Department, past and present members, and on behalf of Louis' family and friends. I also want to thank Lieutenant Shauna Solello for putting this proclamation together. She's in the back of the room trying to blend in, but she's been instrumental in some of the honors for Louis on this 30th year anniversary. Thank you so much for the event yesterday. Thank you for the support, even the pink tank top by our city manager, Mr. Raymond. The outpouring of support for the community for Lou yesterday was absolutely amazing, and it was emotional, but we couldn't have asked for more. Everybody asked me to tell Louis stories, and that's what we do. We enjoy telling stories about Louis. I shared a couple at our last city council meeting, but I want to take this opportunity to expand a little bit. Louis was born in a small mining town in Pennsylvania in 1964. He was always athletic, played sports. Later in his life, he would become very much into bodybuilding, and he ran on our Baker to Vegas team. But he was born and raised in Pennsylvania, and after completing high school and graduating college, he came out to California to pursue his dream of becoming a police officer. He was hired by the Glendora Police Department in 1987, and he had several different assignments and promoted to the rank of agent. And on June 9th, 1995, he was in the Vaughn's store in San Dimas on Via Verde. 3 suspects came to the store to commit an armed robbery. These suspects had committed at least 80 previous armed robberies in the Los Angeles area before this armed robbery, but this armed robbery would be different. 1 suspect stayed in the vehicle in the parking lot, and 2 other suspects went into the store and proceeded to do an armed robbery. Louis was inside the store, and when the 2 suspects inside the store started assaulting a box boy, Louis, true to his code and true to his oath, stepped in to defend a member of the community who could not defend themselves. There was a shooting, and Louis wounded both suspects, and Louis also received gunshot wounds during the exchange of gunfire. The 3 suspects fled the location and were later arrested, and Louis put out a help call, and Louis died shortly after that night. The night that it happened, they called all the Glendora PD staff into the police station, and they told us that Louis had died and that Azusa was covering the city, and told us we could go into the station. Nobody knew what to do. So we went in the station, and we cried, and we laughed, and we told Louis stories. At some point in the wee hours of the morning, we all went home, and when we came back to work, the front steps and the whole front of the police department was covered in flowers, cards, and letters from our community. And we tried to do our job, and we walked around the police station kind of like zombies, and we laughed, and we cried, and we told Louis stories. We sent a small delegation to Pennsylvania, where Louis was laid to rest, and we met Louis' family, and we made ties, and we cried, and we laughed, and we told Louis stories. We all went back to work to serve this community that we so love, and the Louis stories that I talk about, they always, for the internal police department Louis stories, there were always some tremendous act that Louis did, and something funny. There was always a punchline for a Louis story. And the first time I met Louis, he said, "Your name is Randazzo?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Oh, you're Italian?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "We're best friends now." And I thought I was special at that time, that I met Louis and I felt so special, and I was his friend, but I wasn't special at all. Louis was special. He made everybody feel that way. So we went back to work, and It still happens today, but it was, you couldn't get away from it at the time. In the 90s, when you left the Glendora Police Station in a Glendora Police uniform, you got Louis stories from our community. You couldn't go get a burger, you couldn't have lunch without somebody coming up to you, 1, 2 people, and telling you their Louis story. Pull somebody over, they'd tell you a Louis story. Write somebody a ticket, they'd say, "Officer, I'd be happy to sign your ticket, but let me tell you my Louis story first." Arrest somebody, put handcuffs on them, put them in your cop car, driving them to the jail, they would tell you a Louis story. Our Louis stories, like I said, were more funny and had a punchline, but the stories that we got from our community, some were kind of like mine, where they only met Louis once, but they would never forget him. Most of the stories were that Louis helped them, and some of the stories were that Louis changed their life. Louis was a absolute character. He was hilarious. Laughter would follow him around the police station when he was at work, and he made everybody feel special because he was so special. Louis will always be a part of this community, and Louis will always be a part of the Glendora Police Department. And like I said, I feel honored to accept this proclamation, but it will only be in my hands for a short period of time. I will give this proclamation to Louis's brother, Chester Pompey, who is here with us tonight. And I just wanted to say how much, for everybody, that Louis, we miss you, we love you, and we will never forget. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. And
We're both Italian, and we got a hug, so it just happened.
Emotional, what can I tell you? Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Sir.
gentlemen, would you please join us up here for a photo?
Yes, sir.
Mayor, can we get all of PD and retired up here as well?
I'd love it.
Come on, folks.
I was going to break.
Thank you, everyone.
I have a hug on the way. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
We do have an amazing PD family. All right. Back to business. I'd like to open a public hearing to consider a resolution to levy and collect assessment from Glendora Village Business Improvement District for fiscal year 2025-26. And presenting this evening is Management Aide Chantel Correa. Welcome.
Thank you, and good evening, Mayor and City Council. Tonight marks the second and final hearing to authorize the collection of levy and assessments for the Business Improvement District, or the BID. So I'll make this quick. As a reminder, the businesses that are subject to the assessment are located in the bid boundaries shown on the map. It extends to South Bennett Avenue, North Foothill Boulevard, and including the shopping center located on the south of Foothill. The process to renew the annual assessment involves several steps. It begins with the bid board's review and approval of the annual plan and budget. Next is the City Council adopts the resolution to intent. Followed by that, the resolution and the annual plan was mailed out and published in the San Gabriel Examiner. And then 2 weeks ago, we opened public hearing to receive testimony. And tonight is the second and final public hearing to hear any additional comments. After this, any protest ballots received will be counted by the city clerk's office, and if less than 50% of the weighted votes are in protest, the city council may proceed to adopt the resolution to levy and collect assessments. So at this time, staff recommends that the city council conduct the public hearing and, in absence of the majority vote, adopt the resolution and renew and collect the assessments. And with that, I'll turn it back to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chantel. At this time, I will open public comment period and ask if there are any members of the public wishing to speak. Seeing none, we shall then close the public testimony period and close the public hearing and bring it back to the panel for any discussion or questions. Karen, have you any? No. Okay. Mendel?
No, I'm good. Support it.
Okay. Shauna? Michael?
No, but I'm ready to move recommendation item 1.
Okay, and I have no questions, so would you like to make a
Second.
motion? Motion by Mr. Alamos, second by Mr. Thompson. Motion carries 5-0. Motion passes.
Thank you.
All right. Next item is a public hearing again on the reporting of the City of Glendora vacancies and recruitment and retention efforts. And presenting will be Human Resources Analyst Jacqueline Brown. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. My name is Jacqueline Brown. I am one of the city's human resource analysts out of the Admin Services Department. Before I get started, I would like it to be on record that the PowerPoint being presented was updated on slides 4 through 7 after a discrepancy was identified in our new hire and separation numbers. Assembly Bill 2561 was introduced by the state to ensure public agency operations are appropriately staffed and that high vacancy rates do not undermine public employee labor relations. Effective January 1 of 2025, public agencies are mandated to present the status of vacancies, recruitments, and retention efforts during a public hearing before the agency's governing body at least once per fiscal year. As of April 2025, our vacancy rates are as shown. AFSCME is at 17%, GMA 11%, POA is at 16%, and PMA has 0 vacancies. This chart only shows our represented groups, and it does not include our executive or part-time staff. With those groups of represented and that are 2 non-represented, our overall city vacancy rate is at 12%. Over the last month, each of these groups has had vacancy updates. AFSCME had a total of 20 vacancies. Since then, 3 have been filled. We have 6 candidates in backgrounds, and we have 5 of these vacancies that we're hopeful to be filled by current recruitments. The majority of these positions are technical in nature, which require a higher level of skill and experience, with only 1 of these being true entry level. GMA had a total of 8 vacancies. 4 of those have since been filled, and 2 of them are being reevaluated for purposes of succession planning. POA had and still has 8 vacancies. 3 of those, should our 3 police officer trainees currently in the academy successfully complete that, they will take 3 of those positions. And we also have 10 candidates currently in backgrounds. PMA does not have any vacancies at this time. This slide shows the movement of staff from April 1st of 2024 through April 1st of 2025. In total, we've had 24 new hires, full-time represented only, 25 promotions. This includes part-time to full-time promotions, bargaining unit to bargaining unit promotions, and also promotions within a singular bargaining unit. 33 separations overall, and of those separations, 6 have been retirements, 14 have left for other agencies, 4 relocated, 6 chose a new career path, and 3 were for other reasons. Some of the challenges that we have faced with these recruitment efforts, competition with the private sector. The private sector is able to offer higher wages that the city is not able to compete with at this time. Although fringe benefits are competitive, candidates are focusing on the take-home salaries that they're seeing posted on job bulletins. Age gaps in the workforce. The public sector as a whole is facing a wave of employees eligible for retirement based solely on age. In Glendora, 16% of represented city employees are eligible for retirement now, and an additional 18% are eligible within the next 5 years. And as it relates to our management positions, our executive staff, GMA and PMA, 24% are eligible to retire today, and another 24% over the next 5 years. The city continues to explore staffing models to determine the best approach moving forward when a vacancy occurs and how to best identify future leaders within our organization. One of the other challenges is alternative work schedules. Maintaining public service does require some staff to be on site to provide face-to-face service, which limits the opportunity for our employees to work from home. Flexible schedules has become one of our most commonly asked questions when potential candidates call. And last is our variable timelines. The recruitment process is often impacted by a range of procedural and logistical factors that contribute to extended timelines. Mandatory posting periods, civil service exams, providing candidates sufficient time to adjust their schedules for interviews, coordinating pre-employment requirements based on candidate availability, and allowing for the standard 2-week window to provide to their current employers. Some of our recruitment efforts that we are taking to try and get more hires. We are modernizing interview platforms. So we're doing the standard in person. We've continued with Zoom, and we've also implemented Interview Stream, which is an on-demand interview platform that allows candidates to pre-record their responses to the questions that we provide to them. They submit those to us, and then we provide them to our panel of interviewers. They're able to review those responses in their own time, kind of frees up their day. They don't have to spend an entire day sitting with candidates. Grow Glendora, this serves as an entry system into opportunities for full-time employment. Participants learn about the public sector. They receive mentorship, skill development, and hands-on training. This program to date, we have hired 8 full-time employees. Recruitment and referral incentives. Recruitment incentives are available on recruitments for positions that have been proven difficult to fill. And our referral incentives are for current staff for successful referrals of new hires. Our one-day hiring events for our police officers, multiple pre-hire steps are fused into a one-day event and completed on a pass-fail basis. The first of these is the physical agility exam. Candidates who are successful in that go on to a panel interview. Those successful candidates go straight to a captain's interview, and with their approval, they receive a background packet. This process has reduced our flyer to hire window by at least 8 weeks and has been well received by candidates. They no longer have to take off multiple days from work and school to attend all of these events. Instead, they just come for a half day and have their final result by the end of it. Our police department has given us positive feedback on it, and other agencies that have heard about it have reached out to us and asked us our process to see if it's something that would be helpful for their agencies as well. The last thing is eligibility list utilization. We've proactively utilized eligibility list candidates who have qualified for higher classifications but are willing to accept vacancies at lower levels. This allows us to not have to run as many recruitments if they've already been vetted for a higher position but are willing to accept a lower position. And our retention efforts. Employee retention continues to be a key focus. We want to attract, but we also want to show our current employees that they are valued as well. Some of the things that we have done for this is Department Appreciation Weeks. Last week was Public Works Appreciation Week, where all staff were invited to lunch and games to recognize and honor our public works staff. Quarterly employee engagement is designed to connect with employees, gather feedback, and build a stronger and more inclusive workplace community. Employee recognition and support, we host an annual Employee Service Awards that recognizes employees for their years of service in increments of 5, 10, 15, all the way up to 40 years of service. Employee Appreciation Week, we do something every day of that week to acknowledge our employees. This year was our first game day, where employees were able to come out and compete against one another on a department level. They played games like Extreme Tic-Tac-Toe, Cup Stacking, Fill the Jug, and Water Balloon Toss, which ended in a very exciting tiebreaker that Public Works ended up winning, and they got to take home the trophy and bragging rights for the next year. Last is competitive compensation and benefits, negotiating competitive contracts, enhancing city benefits, and ensuring employees feel valued and appreciated. We recently completed negotiations with our Police Officer Association. We're currently in the process with Police Management, and we'll begin AFSCME and GMA in the coming months. AB 2561 allows bargaining units to provide presentations of their own, and our bargaining units have been invited to do so. I don't believe any of them are taking the opportunity today. So this concludes the AB 2561 presentation, and staff recommends that the City Council receive and file this report.
Thank you, Jacqueline. At this point, I will open for public testimony and ask if there's anybody in the audience wishing to make comment. Seeing none, we will close that public testimony opportunity and close the public hearing and bring it back to panel for questions and discussions. Karen, do you have any?
A very good presentation, a lot of good information, so appreciate that.
Thank you.
Shauna?
Thank you, Jacqueline. That was a great presentation. A couple questions for you. The overall vacancy you said was 12%. Do you know if that's similar, like is that consistent with other surrounding cities or cities of our size?
It has seemed to be consistent. We did speak with one of our represented groups, and they told us that the reason they weren't here today was because our numbers were fine in comparison to some of their others. AB 2561 does have a 20% threshold that if we were above that, we would have to provide much more information on our recruitment and retention efforts. So being under the 20% is kind of the golden space that we're shooting for.
Okay. I was just curious, in reading this, like is there anything that council can do? Like, do you feel like you get the support you need? I mean, it sounds like we're under the threshold, so
Yeah.
that's good, but
I think that right now, the city overall is in a good place. I think we do feel the support. We're doing initiatives to attract, retain, all of the things. It's just something that is being felt across the board for all public agencies.
thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you, Shauna. Mendel?
Jacqueline, thank you, and Rita, thank you for everything. I've been here for 11 years, and I want you to know that I've seen a significant change that's been a positive change. And I attribute that to your team, our management team. I hope that we haven't been an impediment to that. One of the things that I really like is that you've allowed us to be engaged. We were just at a public works lunch a week ago, and I love just sitting around with the women and men that do some hard work. When it's hot, when it's wet, when it's cold, and just saying thanks. And when you have, special fun days, you allow us to be engaged. And I think that we appreciate having the chance to walk up to our 200 and some staff and just say thank you. Because a lot of times that means more than anything else. I appreciate the out-of-the-box thinking that you talked about. On the spot hiring. That's just wasn't done, and so thank you. The only question that I have is when people leave, do you all have an exit interview?
We do. Every employee is given an exit packet, and we call them in to have an in-person interview. They're also provided with a confidential exit questionnaire that
Good.
they're able to provide feedback on growth opportunities, if there's anything that we could have done to keep them. They're able to review their supervisor, all of the nitty-gritty, and then HR takes that and uses it to try to improve all of the departments overall.
Yeah, that's a really important thing because I think that we can learn as much from that, even though they're going to leave.
Yeah.
I also know that there's people that have left and that have come back.
That's
And
correct.
they're glad they came back.
Yep.
Because the grass is not always as green as they think. So, excellent work. I applaud you guys and the team, and just keep it up. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mendel. Michael?
Thank you, Mayor. Jacqueline, wonderful report. Thank you very much, and I echo what Mendel had just said. We have a lot of great folks working for us, a lot of good camaraderie. Been to a number of those lunches and just around town, just talking to them and travels and everything. Great group of people. I guess this question maybe is for Adam. Do you have any idea what the nexus of this? Why is Sacramento trying to micromanage us?
I think you're trying to get us in trouble now. So, good evening, everyone.
Our job.
Yeah, a couple quick things. The question was asked earlier about how we compare with other cities, and I would say we compare very well to other cities with our overall rate. I don't think it's uncommon to see 20, 25, 30% vacancy rates these days among cities. As Sacramento has changed the last 3 to 4 years, in addition to some local control concerns, labor has really taken a strong hold in Sacramento. And a lot of the bills that you're seeing have a labor aspect, either mandating prevailing or wage agreements for various projects. This is another one. So as cities begin to look at their staffing and look at ways that either the private sector can do things better or more efficient, or really start to look at the marketplace as it relates to just available workers. I think we've all seen that we're all fighting for the same employees. We're moving from agency to agency. We just keep sharing people. And so this was Labor way of sort of having a public discussion on what a city plans to do before they adopt the annual budget and eliminate positions. So as you will know, in the legislation, there's not a lot of mandates per se, but there's a lot of transparency efforts. And a lot of them are good. But this is more kind of what you've seen on the labor front. A lot of cities have this type of conversation once a year anyway. So, but that's kind of why it's there. But as was presented this evening, Jacqueline did a great job sort of explaining the timing and what the city's done. So we actually provided more information this evening than is required to us by the state law, just to show everyone that we don't have anything to hide, and we're really proud of what we're doing here. Thank you.
You just alluded to the budget of our FTEs that we put in there. If we go midterm and we realize that we just cannot fill certain vacancies or we have workarounds, can we do adjustments to that budget?
Yeah, of course.
And that would that would
Yeah.
qualify for under the
There's-
20%?
Yeah, well, there's various processes that we always, anytime we make changes to the personnel resolution of the city, the HR staff reaches out, we touch base. I mean, we have robust conversations on a regular basis with all of our employee groups, so this would be no different. So for us, it is how we normally operate is how we're going to continue to operate to the extent those vacancies do exceed 20%. And I would just make note, it's a point in time. It's April-ish. I mean, some cities could do it in December or November or March. So, it's not a standard point in time, and it's just a snapshot to show the overall. But this will not stop the city from moving forward in whatever way it needs to move forward to ensure both services are being provided and we're spending within our means.
Is there any penalty if we go beyond the 20%?
As Jacqueline mentioned, there's about 10 different requirements for extrapolated data, some of which were provided this evening, but we'd have to pontificate on what the city council would have to do to decrease that. I think the overall emphasis from the bill's authors is that cities would talk about compensation in those positions.
Last question. On the charts you had there for the percentages by departments,
Yes.
did you use the percentages to get the overall percentage, or did you use the overall number of vacancies versus the population?
It's bodies to FTs budgeted.
Not by departments?
Well, just, do you want to talk about how the 20% works? It's by bargaining unit. It's not overall.
Oh, yes. Let me just get that slide in front of me.
Yeah, we can pull up that slide real quick.
Is this the one?
No.
There you
That
go.
one.
This one. So it's all separated by represented group. And it is in green, it shows our number filled, and the orange shows our number vacant.
Okay. Great. Thanks for answering that. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. The question I had about percentage within our region was answered, so thank you. It's good to know that we're on par with that or better, if any. And I applaud the progressive, ambitious hiring tactics and goals and efforts made to keep us being attractive and make that process as painless as possible for applicants. So good job.
Thank
I have no other questions, and with that, I'll entertain a motion.
I would move that we accept this report, please.
I'll second. Go ahead, Karen.
Motion by Mendel, a second by Karen, please, and invite us to vote. The motion passes 5-0 to receive and accept the report. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, that brings us to our consent calendar, items 5 through 8. The items may be enacted in one motion without individual discussion unless a council member wishes to have it removed for separate discussion. Does anyone wish to pull an item?
No, I'll move items 5 through 8.
Okay.
Second.
Motion by Michael, second by Mendel. Ask you to vote. Items pass 5-0. Motions carry. Thank you very much. Brings us to item 9 in unfinished business. An update of the scheduled vacancies for the City Council Advisory Boards and Commissions recruitment, which ends June 30, 2025. And inviting Deputy Clerk Roxanne Rosita to share this very comprehensive report.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. I'm here to provide an update on the scheduled vacancies for the advisory boards and commissions recruitment, with terms set to expire on June 30th, 2025. The City Clerk's Office conducted a recruitment to fill the annual scheduled vacancies for terms ending. Notices of scheduled vacancies were posted on the city's website, social media platforms, and public bulletin boards. Additionally, notices were published in the San Gabriel Valley Examiner on April 3rd, 10th, 17th, and May 1st. The initial recruitment closed on April 24th, followed by an extension with a revised deadline of May 8th. Following the close of the extended recruitment period, 2 additional qualified applications were received, bringing the total number to 30. Of these, 6 applicants are incumbents. Attachment E outlines the current membership of each advisory board and commission, including incumbents and new applicants. Attachment C contains all submitted applications. In addition to the scheduled vacancies noted above, the Glendora Chamber of Commerce, pursuant to the established bid procedures, coordinated the recruitment of the bid advisory board members. Appointees are selected by the bid membership. For 2025, the bid membership has recommended Callan Banos from Ramon's Tacos and Tapas, and that's for office number 1 with term expiring, and then Crystal Mankey for office number 4 for appointment to the bid advisory board. Staff is requesting that the City Council consider these recommendations and approve the appointments as part of this update. Staff recommends that the City Council move forward with the interviews and provide guidance on the preferred interview process. Applicants have been notified that in-person interviews are tentatively scheduled for a special meeting on June 10th. Attachment 4 outlines the recruitment timeline. The following sections presents the next steps for consideration, along with the estimated interview durations for each option. This concludes my report. I am available for any questions.
Thank you, Roxanne. I'll bring it back for questions and deliberations. Karen?
I want to know what Janet's doing. That's a hot ticket. Get on the library board. Wow. No, I think that that is a lot of folks, and so I'm excited that so many people are excited to fill these vacancies. I appreciate option number 1 because it seems like the most efficient one, but obviously to do that would mean that everyone would need to, or at least a majority, be in agreement to reappoint the incumbent. I'm not aware of any reason not to, but so I would lean towards that option.
Okay, thank you. Shauna?
I agree with Karen. I like option 1. I think that all of our current appointees are doing a great job. I have personally not heard anything that would lead me to believe that they aren't qualified, and it cuts down the amount of time dramatically. I guess my question would be if we, because I think one of them, there's one of the commissions that both of the openings are reapplying, so there would be no openings. The applicants for that, are they given the opportunity to put their application in for another one, or is it just closed? Okay. I still like option
But
1.
I think Kathleen will provide you an option on that front.
Normally, when people turn in their applications, they list the boards they're interested in, and we confirm with them before we do that if they've listed 1 or more boards.
Okay.
As you'll see in one of the applications, they originally listed Community Services Commission, but then after discussing, talking to the applicant, they were actually interested in the library board, which is why the application only shows up under the library board.
I would say one of the options the city would have, if you directed the city clerk's office to contact all of those individuals, if the city council went through with option 1, we could see if they had interest in any of the other boards or commissions too, if that's what the body chose, if that helps answer your question.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I think that's reasonable. You know, if we decide to go with option 1, I don't know what my colleagues want to do, but I feel like the commissioners right now do such a good job. It doesn't seem fair unless you wanted to consider somebody else. It doesn't seem fair to have all those applicants come in if we intend to just reappoint the folks that are already there. So anyways, that's my 2 cents.
Okay, thank you. Mendel?
I would feel good with option one. I think it's already been said why, and I would support that.
Okay, thank you. Michael?
I also feel good about option one with the recommendations from the bid. I do have a question for our city clerk. What is the attendance like for the incumbents?
Roxanne, do you want to present that?
Sure. So looking at the annual attendance report for our incumbents, we have good show of attendance. There's one just with one unexcused absent, but everyone is showing good standing on their attendance.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. I support option one in its effort to expedite the process, but I have a concern that if we don't do interviews and we automatically reappoint the incumbents for the good work they've already done, are we discouraging candidates in the future from applying and wanting to get in if we're not going to interview them for that position if there are no vacancies? Looking at it, it looks like we have a net that will have some vacancy in each one. Is that correct?
Correct. The one that you were referring to where we did have 2 incumbents was for community services. We have a total of 7 new applicants in which City Manager Raymond had mentioned that the City Clerk's office can definitely reach out and see if they're interested in another body to serve for.
Okay. I would just hate to lose the opportunity for people to, if they show a willingness and want to serve, to close the door on that. So if we can reach out and expand that, see if they want to look at another commission, I think that's a fair alternative.
We can do that.
Mayor, I'm going to move item 1 with the recommendation from the bid, as well as to allow the applicants to change their requested position.
Okay. We have a motion to do so. Do we have a second?
Second?
A motion by Michael, a second by Mendel. I would invite us to vote, please. Motion carries 5-0 for option 1 as mentioned. Thank you very much. Next item is a new business item. It is to award an agreement to J.D. Zigio Construction, Inc. for the Oak Park Road project in the amount not to exceed $314,804. And to spend our nickel tonight, we have Mr. William Whitcoff, our Public Works Director, to tell us how we might want to do that. Welcome, Bill.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Council. So tonight I will be providing an update on the Oak Park Road emergency water main repair. Seems like we get to do a lot of these fun things. So a couple of things just for some background, and for those who aren't familiar with Oak Park, if you take Foothill all the way east as you cross over Amelia, you come up to Oak Park. A little bit about the project scope. We replaced 750 feet of 8-inch water main. We installed 2 new fire hydrants, 8 isolation valves, and 12 water services. You'll notice on the picture here that there's a blue line kind of running through some of the front yards of those houses. That's important. I'll talk about that in just a second. A little bit of background. One of the questions is, why is this an emergency? And you'll see here on the picture on the right, there's some landscaping that's been removed and a retaining wall. And on the picture on the left, you'll see another retaining wall, some landscaping, and a driveway that's been damaged. We had 5 breaks in 18 months in that area, and like I talked about, that water main that was out there, the existing 6-inch, ran on private property. So every time we had a problem out there, we had to go out and interrupt somebody's front yard, whether it was taking out their landscaping or their driveway or retaining wall, whatever it was, and that became a huge issue for us. We also noticed as those leaks continued that they were getting a little bit worse, and we were very concerned about the fact that the next leak could cause even more damage to somebody's property. So we decided to declare this an emergency and get the work done as quickly as we could. You'll see in this next picture here, work started on November 2024. Tons of critical components were replaced, including the air vacs, the blow-offs, and flushing valves. And you can also see where we could get to it, where that water main was not in somebody's front yard, we did remove it. All the water main that was running through the front yards, we abandoned in place to make sure we didn't cause any more damage or disruption to the neighbors out there. Here you can see some of the work going on. You can see the picture on the right. We have that, what we call C909 pipe, or really you can think of that as just PVC on steroids. We use that pretty regular for some of this. And then on the left, you can see some of the valves that were put in. You'll notice here that the work was completed in February 2025, and we did get a couple of the questions. If that was an emergency, why did it take so long? But we're trying to be very considerate with the residents and our contractor. We started in November, so obviously we had Thanksgiving, we had Christmas and New Year's. So there were several times during that time where we actually took 1 to 2 weeks. We pulled out of that project to clean up the street, allow them to enjoy the holidays without us being out in front of their house with all of our equipment. So the staff and the contractor put a lot of effort into making sure that when we stopped in between those, we were at a point we felt like it was safe, and we hoped we weren't going to have any more emergencies with that. So very happy with the work that was done, and my compliments to the water staff as well that were out there managing that project. So that concludes my presentation. You can see the 4 recommendations that we have on the slide here. I won't read those unless you need me to or would like me to. Other than that, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have regarding the project.
Thank you, Bill. I'll bring it back to for any questions or discussion. Where are we at here? Shauna?
I don't have any questions, but thank you. Great report, and I think that was very nice of you over the holidays to let people enjoy their holidays. So I think it's great. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shauna. Mendel?
Bill, thank you for this update and excellent report, and I support it. I just curious, so, you know, we talk about the age of our pipes. So these pipes that are going in, will people that sit in these chairs 20 years from now, 50 years from now, be saying what we're saying now about the people that sit in these chairs like 30 years ago? And so, you know, why didn't they get better pipes? Or so I guess where I'm going with this is, what's your best guess as to how long these pipes are going to last?
I would say probably 40 to 50 years. I don't know. I would ask Paul if he has any.
Given the material, probably about 50 to 60.
There we go.
Okay.
So you're good.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So we're
yeah.
good.
I'm
good.
Yeah, I won't
We're
be.
all good.
I won't be around to throw stones. So I was just curious. So, okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Good job.
Thank you, Mendel. Karen?
No, thanks, Bill.
Thank you.
All right. Michael?
Thank you, Bill. A question, we're heading into summer. Typically have a lot more leaks in the summertime. I'm already starting to hear from constituents that they're having leaks and they're getting calls from the water department using too much water and they can't find the leak. So they're out there hunting for folks to do the inspection for them. Do we have any certified or leak detecting companies that we can recommend? I know we have to be
absolutely
careful
do.
on recommendations, but
Yeah, we contract with WaterWise that can help us with that. We also have some very talented staff and some pretty high-tech leak equipment that we can bring out as well to try and detect those leaks. So
even on private property?
we can help at least through the meter side of it and make sure that it's not on our side of the meter, if it's on their side, and then we can get WaterWise out there to help them as well.
WaterWise only does so much. They won't do anything in the ground.
Well, not necessarily. So as we start looking at those leaks, we also have some other contractors that we work with that we can help recommend as well. So if they reach out to us, we'd be happy to get out there, meet with them on site, walk them through that process, and I'm sure we can find a way to make sure we get that leak identified for them.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you very much.
Of course.
Thank you. I will admit I haven't gone over and verified, so I'm going to ask a question I don't know the answer to. In the process of being in and out of Oak Park several times and leaks and things, at the end of the day, did Oak Park get repaved in the process?
I don't believe we repaved the entire street, but we do the trench repair from where we moved the water main from the private property into the street.
Okay.
I'll confirm that, but I don't believe we did repave the whole street.
Right. I don't have to do any work. I can, in my travels, I'll go look, but it sounds about what you probably, what we likely did. And I'm sure the pavement index was durable. That was the right choice. So, okay. Great. I have no other questions, and we'll
Mayor, I'll move items 1 through 4 on the recommendations.
Okay, motion by Mr. Alawas.
Second?
Second by Mr. Thompson. The M's are trigger happy today. It's good. Okay.
We lost our button, remember?
Motion
Bill, thanks.
passes 5-0.
Bill, thanks on your team winning whatever the award was that Jacqueline, so, okay.
Yeah, great picnic, thank you. All right, very good, motion passes. Final item for the evening is a report by our police department on AB 481, Annual Military Equipment Policy and Use Report. And presenting the presentation tonight will be Captain Chris Stavio. Welcome, Captain.
See if I can get this to the right one here. Evening, Council, Mr. Mayor. In 2021, Governor Newsom signed into law AB 481, which codified Government Code Section 7072. Just to give you a brief overview of what Government Code Section 7072 says, it has 6 different portions of the law. Essentially, it says that we have to have a public meeting, which we're doing tonight. It requires that we have a summary of what military equipment the Glendora Police Department possesses and how it's used, a summary of any complaints or concerns received regarding that military equipment, the results of any internal audits or information about violations of policy related to the use of that equipment, the total annual cost for this equipment, the quantity of munitions we possess, and if we intend to acquire any additional military equipment, we have to tell you about it. So in 2024, we used the specified military equipment that we have in 19 different high-risk search warrant operations. We use it also during training. They have 26 trainings per year, and a function of the equipment that we use requires that it be used during training, and it's used by specialized individuals within the police department and by other members of our regional SWAT team. 7026A3 requires that we disclose the results of any internal audits with respect to how we use that military equipment and if we've received any complaints. We do an audit every year at the end of the calendar year. This past year, there were no violations of how that equipment was supposed to be used, and we received no complaints. Requires a disclosure of how much it costs and how much we spend on each particular piece of military equipment. Most of this is an ongoing training cost, largely associated with the purchase of ammunition. It costs us about $20,000 per year in ammunition and training costs relative to the equipment that we have. It also requires us to use some devices that, they're sort of a one-time use thing. Noise flash diversionary devices, chemical agent munitions, less lethal devices designed to subdue combative and violent individuals, and then just equipment maintenance. 7026A6 requires that we report the quantity of each particular piece of military equipment that we have. Later in the PowerPoint, you'll see that we have essentially 8 different things listed. We actually have 10, but some of those in the slides to come are sort of double use, and I'll get into that when I talk about it. It also says that we have to talk about what additional military equipment that we're going to purchase in 2025. As of right now, we don't have any plans to purchase anything in 2025 that I can tell you about. That's obviously subject to budget constraints, and it's sort of a developing, the technology for tactical operations is always developing, so sometimes they come up with something that we don't know about, and we may end up purchasing it in the following year, but we'll probably talk about that next year. Hold on, this isn't working here. There we go. AB 41 requires that we do an annual review of this, and that I ask answer any questions that you have, and answer any questions that the public may have as they're allowed to comment on it, and I'm going to give them an answer. We have to publish the results of our equipment report within 30 days of the meeting. As I understand it, this was published a few days ago. There are a couple of other requirements for AB 481, and one of those is that the equipment that we use can't really be obtained by other sources other than it meeting the requirements of what is specified in Assembly Bill 481. I will tell you that the equipment we have is very specialized. It suits a very specific purpose, and it is used only by those individuals that are trained under very specific and controlled circumstances. Currently, we have a couple of different robots, a couple of unmanned aerial systems, which is a fancy word for a drone, rifles, less lethal munitions, and less lethal munitions are a couple, it's sort of a misnomer. It covers impact munitions, things that you would direct fire at an individual who's violent and combative, and it also includes chemical agents, tear gas for lack of a better word. Noise flash diversionary devices, which is a fancy word for something that you pull the pin on, you drop it, and about 3 seconds later, it goes bang really loudly and gets a real bright light. A mobile command post, which we use for operations, and then an armored rescue vehicle, and we already talked about unmanned aerial systems. This equipment's been in use for several years. One important thing to note is that this equipment is, with the exception of the rifles, all less lethal equipment, which is designed to reduce the potential for injury to the officers, individuals that we're trying to take into custody, and the community. With that as the end of my report, I'd be happy to answer any questions from you or the community, and have a recommendation that council receive and file the report.
Thank you, Captain. I'll bring it back for any questions or comments by this panel. Mandel?
Thank you for this update, and this is way out of my realm. But does any of this stuff ever age out or go stale, specifically like this chemical stuff? And if the answer is yes, then are we advised as to what you guys do with that and where it goes and how it's destroyed, or is that even an issue that we even need to think about? And if it's not, then it's no big deal, but I'm just curious.
So typically there's a 5-year shelf life for all of your chemical munitions.
Okay.
Usually we end up with about, I'd say probably 30 to 40, probably less than that. I'd say we probably use about 20% of it during operations, although that depends on the year and the extent to which someone decides they want to stay barricaded inside a home. If it's not used in an operation, then it's used during training and disposed of in that manner so that we accomplish a couple of things. We dispose of munitions that we should no longer be using because they're past their expiration date, and we provide verified, realistic training to the individuals that are entrusted with using this responsibly and within the bounds of the law.
Okay, great, thanks. I support this. I was just curious as to what we did with anything that would expire, and I didn't know if anything did expire, but
yeah, it
I thought
does.
the chemicals probably would expire at some point in time, so.
Most of the infrastructure type of the launchers and things like that have a pretty good shelf life. We've had some things there that were purchased back in the early 2000s. I think we had a gas launcher that was probably from the 60s when I started on the team, and that was just retired, I don't know, I would say probably maybe 5 years ago or so. So that stuff has a pretty long shelf life.
Yeah, great, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mandel. Karen?
No questions. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Karen. Shauna?
Thank you, Captain Stabio. I have no questions.
Thank you. Michael?
Thank you, Captain. I have a couple questions for you. What constitutes military equipment?
I knew you'd have questions. I just knew it. So military equipment is specifically defined in AB 481. It lists certain type of rifles that we have to classify as military equipment. It lists chemical agents, any impact munitions, any of their delivery devices, any armored vehicles, any command posts that are used for tactical events. I don't remember the entire bill off the top of my head, but those are just some of the highlights that I can tell you as I stand here tonight.
And what do you do with confiscated military equipment? Or do you ever run across that?
Meaning if we seize it as evidence?
Yes.
We don't divert it to city use. It's used for the criminal case in chief, and then it's typically destroyed as a public nuisance because the law will typically allow that.
Wonderful. And you, is there a certain place that you send this stuff to be destroyed?
That's a challenging question. Typically, we used to destroy all of our weapons at a facility in Long Beach, but as I understand it, where we have done the gun and weapons destruction has closed, and so we are still in the process of looking for some place to dispose of those types of items.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Michael. And following up on that, just for the public's awareness, you taught me this last year. Just because it has the military title on it as equipment, doesn't necessarily mean that it was obtained through military surplus or auction-type opportunities. Like our latest Bearcat, we purchased new and had that built to order, but this bill declares that as a military type of equipment. Is that correct?
That's absolutely correct. As a matter of fact, we only have one piece of equipment that was obtained from the military. That is no longer in use. That was manufactured in 1972, and it was the finest in ballistic protection that 1972 had to offer. We took that out of service a couple of years ago when we purchased the new vehicle.
Wow, okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
With that, I will entertain a motion to receive and file the report.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Alawas and second by Mr. Thompson, and ask us to vote, please. Measure passes 5-0. Thank you very much. And with that, concludes our business. I'll bring it back for any closing comments. Anyone wish to share anything? Adam, Danny? No? Okay.
Any last words on your performance?
You don't want to rebut your pink shirt?
It's all good. As such, I'll call the meeting adjourned at 8:35. Thank you very much for all your participation.